I'm with Eva. Boom! How are they the same?
It's the same on the front.
It's a completely different colour. Oh my God, that's such a good tip. Eva's essential driving tips.
Yeah.
Let's go.
From experienced tester, three down. So now I'm
You've done a ton of driving tests.
Yeah.
You've done a ton of driving. You've got a driving license.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, my first one, which I found, I think, most helpful in the last one, was even if you think that you've done something that you think would have failed you, to not assume that you failed, because I kept doubting myself in my third one just because obviously I'd just failed like not long before. So I kept thinking like of everything I was doing. I was like, oh my God, has that just failed me? Has that just failed me?
Oh.
And then I didn't. So there was no point in dwelling on it, because then like you lose focus because you're too busy thinking, have I failed? And then you're not concentrating.
Absolutely.
And chances are you didn't fail and you probably didn't even get a minor. Or you did, and it doesn't matter, because who cares about minors?
Who cares about minors? But if you're thinking about them, then you're going to distract yourself from
Exactly.
what's happening next, and then you're going to get majors.
Which I feel like kind of ties into like, if they're tapping on their iPad, don't assume that it's because you've done something wrong. Because I thought that even in my third one, when he was tapping away, I had just convinced myself that I'd failed.
Was he tapping a lot?
Not really, but just a few times, because obviously they pull you up a lot, and then, or like just manoeuvres and stuff, and then you kind of assume the worst, even though they're probably just ticking that you've just done it.
Yeah, they tick a lot of things on their iPad that aren't mistakes.
Don't let that put you off, because you're probably doing just fine.
What about trying to glance over at the iPad, which is what you were doing?
Yeah, don't do that, because I did that in my second one and found out that I'd failed like more than halfway. I mean, less than halfway into the test, so that put me off. And then in the third one where I passed, I looked over and thought that I'd failed, and I didn't. So don't bother doing it, because it will just throw you off, and it's not fun to think that you failed when you haven't.
Yeah, because you can't see what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have a protective. You know when you look at your phone from the side, and some people have got that thing where you can't see what it is.
They should have that.
They
the second
do.
one didn't.
Yeah, he must have.
Didn't.
His stuff must have
But
screen
the third
protector
one
fallen
he
off.
did, but like certain angles you can see. But yeah, just keep your eyes on the road. Don't bother with the iPad.
But it's more distraction.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't need it.
My second one, I think you'll disagree with maybe,
Okay.
because I know that you love commentary.
Yeah.
And I feel like it does work, but for me, I found like in my third one is I worked better not talking, including commentary. So I didn't want to force it because it just didn't feel natural.
Interesting.
The only time I did do it was to let him know when I was doing something that might have been confusing to him.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever did it, but I didn't do it
Like
for
what?
everything.
I'm like what? I'm just nudging forward here.
Yeah.
I'm not setting off.
Like, I think there was a time where he wanted me to go right on the roundabout and I was in the left lane. So I was trying to go to the right lane like before I got to the end, but no one was letting me in. But I didn't want him to think I was just staying in the left lane and then I was just going to try and go right. So I said to him, I am trying to go. I mean, I guess he probably assumes I was signalling, but just in case, I said I'm trying to go, but no one's letting me in, so I'm going to wait for a safe gap. I'm not just going to go into the right lane. So just like any time you think it might be useful, but some people really find it useful to just do it throughout, so just do whatever you prefer.
Yeah, try it, because it does help a lot of people.
Yeah.
The commentary video that I did is probably the video I'm most proud of ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the most entertaining or the most fun, but it's helped most people.
It's helpful, yeah.
And I did a Stephen Bartlett bit at the beginning, which was really fun.
I don't remember that.
Have you not seen the Stephen Bartlett bit? It's the commentary video. If you haven't seen it, then it's clickable somewhere on the screen. Or
I have seen it, but a long time ago.
Okay, a long time ago. Watch it as well.
Okay.
Watch it.
Next one is if you have like a good amount of time before you test, just do tests, mock tests in the area, or try and watch loads of videos on the area, because even if, because obviously there's so many different test routes, you can't possibly do them all with your instructor.
There's always like 15 or so test routes at every centre.
But you might do some with your instructor and some you might watch, because I know in my second test there was a lot of roads that he took me on that I'd seen on YouTube but I hadn't done with you, which I found useful.
Nice. It's
So
familiar.
Just
Feel
practice,
more relaxed
so
if it's
you
familiar,
kind of
innit?
know what to expect. Because there was a road that came up on my second one which was really confusing, and I only really felt confident with it because I'd already seen it on the video, so it wasn't like a surprise, and then I didn't have to stress about it. Because I know some people do say they just book a test in a random place, they've never been there before, and they just do it. And
You have to be
sometimes it
so good at driving for that.
But I do feel like, but even if you do feel like you're a confident driver, I just feel like it's just nicer to do it in somewhere that you know, because that's one less thing to be nervous about. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I've never driven here before.
It's
That's
the
just an added
familiarity.
stress. Yeah.
Makes you feel more relaxed and confident. It doesn't mean that you've practiced all of the test routes. You just feel like, oh, I know this area generally.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really, really, really cold.
Are you?
Yeah.
Shall I turn the heating up?
Please. I've been sat here like really firming it, but now I can't firm it anymore.
That's going on Instagram.
Okay. Next one is try not to put too much pressure on yourself, because if you fail you can do it again. I mainly say that because I feel like with my first two I just put so much pressure on myself, which just doesn't help at all, because you just stress yourself out so much, because it's not like it's a test where you have, that's your only chance. If you fail you can never do it again. It's something that you can do as many times as you need. So
why did you feel you were so under pressure?
I don't know, I think some people just do put pressure on themselves for stuff like exams or tests or whatever, which is natural, but yeah, you can always redo it. It's not the end of the world if you fail, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad driver or you're not good enough. It can just be bad luck, or it can just be nerves. So yeah, you can do it again, it doesn't matter.
You can just do it again, yeah.
Um,
And also, it's like, oh, well, if I don't pass now, I have to wait 6 months, so what?
yeah,
Unless you need it for a job or whatever,
yeah,
then it's fine.
yeah. So just...
It might feel like a mild inconvenience now, or it might feel like the end of the world, but once you've passed, you'll
and
look back,
it's okay to feel really shit after,
and it'll just be like a funny story.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? Now you passed?
Yeah, I don't even think about those times that I failed, and if I do, I just think, lol. Because there's no point in being upset, because, like, obviously you can be upset at the time, that's totally normal, but don't, like, dwell on it, especially when your next test comes up. All you have to really focus on is, what did I fail on? Am I confident in them now?
How can I make it better?
Yeah, exactly. Like my first test I failed on junctions, so we practiced those loads, and then by the third time, I was still nervous of them obviously, but I didn't feel as nervous as the first time, so you just have to practice what you feel weak
Second time you failed on a technicality that wasn't quite fair, which I did in my L test and passed for.
Yeah, that did suck.
Sucky. And I put it on TikTok, and loads of people said that they did it as well, that they had bumped over a curb with one wheel and still passed. I did. You didn't.
No. But as well, that kind of ties into, like, if you fail, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad driver. If you might just have an examiner that's quite harsh. So just don't let it make you feel shit about
Or they've
yourself.
already met their quota of passes for the day.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
My next one, again, I don't know what you think, but this is from my personal experience. When I started learning to drive, I did my theory test straight away.
Nice.
And then by the time I passed, I nearly ran out on my theory.
Okay.
So I feel like I wish if I could go back in time, I'd still learn all my theory as I went, but I think I'd wait to do my theory test until I was more ready to do my test, because I did my theory before I even really knew how to bloody drive.
So it nearly ran out.
So it nearly ran out, which is not the end of the world, obviously, and like if you want to just get it out of the way, then that's fine. But with how it is now with tests being so difficult to get, I would just wait until, you don't have to wait till your test ready, but you could just wait and not do it before you even know what the clutch is.
That's actually such a good tip.
I did my theory test pretty much before I could even drive on proper roads.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like I didn't need to do it that quickly. I could have learnt it and like learnt the knowledge and the road signs and the this and the that, but I didn't necessarily have to do the test.
And then you get more time on your theory certificate.
Exactly.
In case you fail and need to book another one.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's such a good
like
tip.
Now, like back before COVID, it wouldn't have mattered so much because if you failed, you could probably get a test in 2 weeks' time. But now, where you can't get a test for
6 months,
potentially 6 months,
that's
a lot of time on your theory.
That's only 2 tests a year.
Because you think in your head, oh, I've got 2 years, it's fine, but that 2 years goes quick. I'll tell you that for free. So
that is a legit good tip.
I feel like that's not,
I've never thought about that.
Pretty good.
That's a game. That is a game changer.
Good, actually.
That's a really good one.
Now I really think of it, I'm like, yeah, that's a solid tip there. Okay, this is my last tip.
Oh.
I know. Sad. Don't always stress little mistakes, because I feel like sometimes when I was driving with you, I was, especially leading up to my test, I was making mistakes and I was thinking, shit, am I actually ready?
Oh.
But I do feel like sometimes you do just drive differently with your instructor because you're not in a test. So you don't feel so under pressure to be perfect. And you know that if I make a mistake, it doesn't matter because they'll just tell me, oh, you did that wrong, and then you get on with it. Whereas in a test, you feel like, okay, I could fail at any second. So sometimes I feel like on a test it can even work out as you're really nervous, so you do make loads of silly mistakes, or you're really nervous but you drive with extra care and you don't make as many mistakes. I don't know if I'm explaining this well.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you're driving with your instructor and you feel like you're making loads of silly mistakes, don't necessarily let it discourage you, because chances are in your tests you won't make them. Because I do feel like there was a lot of mistakes I had made with you, but I didn't make any of them in my test.
Also though, lessons are designed to be hard. If your driving lessons were as difficult as your driving test, then you'd never be over the limit that you need to be at. So I always make driving lessons more hard. Like you go for way longer, you do more of the maneuvers, you do more of the driving. Like if you do a 2-hour lesson, that's 4 driving tests worth of driving. And you're gonna repeat things. But on your driving test, you just do half an hour and you just do one maneuver, one junction, one roundabout.
Exactly.
So your driving test is gonna be easier. And obviously you're gonna be concentrating because you won't have me waffling at you.
You're comfortable with your instructor, you know them, you've probably been with them for a long time. Like, if you get on well as well, you don't feel stressed about making mistakes, you know you're not going to get shouted at or told off.
Yeah. Thanks, Eva.
You're welcome.
What do you think are your best driving test tips? Was that helpful? Shall we get Eva back for more content?
No.
Now that she's passed her driving test. Nah, boring.
Boring!
And if you like this video, then click that as well, because you'll bloody love it too. It's more Eva action. Let's go. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.